don't know. Hey, welcome to Mr. Joynt Live Show, Dad.
Yeah. Wow. Alrighty.
Episode 4.
Where did little brother disappear to?
Oh, our special guest tonight. He's
Yes.
offline right now.
Okay.
He's getting his equipment set up.
All right.
No. Mm-mm. All right, Dad.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Joynt, sorry. I
New.
like your shirt.
Thank you. Yes, there it is.
Thank you for thank you for wearing men's clothing tonight.
Yeah. Unlike some of the New World Order people who, never mind. I don't want to go there. But yes, thank you. Oh man. Wow, it's
Go
great
ahead
to
real
have.
quick, introduce
Yeah.
yourself, describe a little bit about yourself, your background, so people who haven't seen the show before
Oh,
can,
okay.
figure out who
Well,
you are.
I've always really loved American history. Always loved America, and have, I don't know, majored in history, got a master's degree in U.S. history, taught community college level for 24 years, and taught high school and a couple different high schools, mostly private. Now I'm in a public system, and this is my 48th year. Written a few articles, mainly about Civil War stuff, but conspiracies always interested me so much, and everything. Even Roosevelt's comment in 1941: "If something happens in history, you can bet it didn't happen by accident. It was planned that way," and that just seems to permeate. I mean, I've looked at the Lincoln assassination, McKinley, John F. Kennedy, of course. We go on, Robert Kennedy, goodness, and even the sinking the Lusitania, 19 um, 1915, May 7th, 1915, the February 15th, 1898 explosion of the Maine. I mean, there's just so much stuff, and there always seems to be hands in it, and government hands, things that will benefit elitism to a degree. And now, what you're uh, talking about tonight, the New World Order. When did it begin? Where did it begin? Boy, Bilderbergers, Illuminati, Federal Reserve,
Yeah,
1913. Where
on
do
and
we
on
go?
and on.
John D.
Yeah.
Rockefeller. It always just real fast, and then I want to turn it back over to you
Well, I
and
think it's a
Jeffrey.
form of global corporatism.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we're coming to know it as, certainly. But I always find it interesting that all the textbooks
Can you hear it?
they were all preoccupied with Andrew Carnegie selling U.S. Steel to J.P. Morgan for $350 million, and that same time period, within 2 years of that, John D. Rockefeller was worth $20 billion. And I mean, why aren't we talking about that? That should have been, but it's just like the books distort, sidetrack, and the elephant that should be in the room or is in the room that no one's looking at is Rockefeller. That seems to be where it really picks up speed. Um, the founding of the Federal Reserve, St. Simon's Island. I mean, all this stuff has been gone over pretty carefully, and Wikipedia would probably have stuff as well.
Well, the victors get to write the story, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and they can sponsor their historians and give them scholarships and financial aid and prominence through Council on Foreign Relations, which are offshoots of the Rockefeller Foundation, Trilateral Commission. I mean, you go online and look at the individuals that are in these organizations, and you know they're in every major university in the United States, which explains some of the left wing bias of these universities because they're part of the global, uh, I guess you could say, global spawning system that produces a lot of this stuff, or at least fosters it. So anyway, yeah, that's introduction. Not only me, but I mean the topics going to transcend me. So we should probably get right into it. And
Well,
go
yeah,
ahead.
and
Yeah.
remember last week last week's episode was false flags, and we were
Hmm.
talking about the trucker convoy. I found the episode where we discussed this actual of we I wouldn't say predicted it,
Hmm.
but it was September 10th of last year. It was our episode 5, Preludes to War. Go figure.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
the Biden administration had just announced mandates for federal workers and all that, and we were talking about it. So I found the clip. If you want to watch it real quick,
Sure.
um,
Yeah. Do it.
just make sure. Yeah, there it is. So hold on one second. Then we got all these new rules and laws and
Yeah.
mandates. It's always the same.
Yep. Yep.
And the dollar's going down, the market's going down. It's just if you're not ready, folks,
Yeah.
okay, go get ready.
Yeah.
Buy a couple weeks of storable food. Life might not be so comfy here,
Yeah.
especially. And I was talking about storable food, more of a of
Yeah.
inflationary type of thing. It's a you're hedging your inflation. You're saving a little bit on your groceries. But
Yeah.
anyways, especially if truckers start protesting, yeah,
Wow.
America as a whole, like if you try to picture, the whole country,
Man.
right?
Hmm.
If you look at them and you see all these big cities, right? All these big places, and then all the
Hmm.
highways and all the little roads, right? It all looks like little veins, right? All these little veins. Well, if you look at trucking, if you look at truckers are like the blood flowing through those veins,
Yeah.
carrying oxygen and nutrients and everything it needs to all these little
Yeah.
cities and stuff. If those truckers, If the government says, hey, you can't be on an interstate highway or
Yeah.
you can't renew your CDL license, which truckers have to have, it's a CDL license. If you
Yeah.
can't renew your license without taking this shot,
Yeah.
well, these guys, they're not gonna put up with that.
No,
A
they're
lot of
not.
them aren't gonna do it.
No.
And so you're not gonna get your produce. You're not gonna get
Yeah.
your gas. You're not
No.
gonna get any. You might get some, but it's gonna be very sparse, and you might
Yeah.
start seeing some
Yeah.
stuff happening. I don't
That's
know.
true.
I'm hoping it's just talk. I'm hoping what he
Yeah.
said yesterday was just a distraction.
Yeah. Me too.
Well, there you go.
Wow. You might have started the convoy movement.
Yeah, I
Goodness
might be a
sakes.
CIA plant
Oh,
operative.
gosh. Or FBI informant, something. A lot of those around. Golly. They're all over the place.
Yeah. So,
And yeah.
uh, you know,
Wow.
it was just more of a, I'm not psychic, but you
Man.
just, you, the dominoes fall a certain way, right?
Yeah.
One after the other, and you can kind of see which domino is going to fall 3 or 4 dominoes down the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it is. If
Yeah.
they start doing these kind of mandatory things, and it's going to cause disruption. Now, what I think, and we could watch a little bit of the live convoy or the party in Ottawa, then the Windsor Bridge is down. They've
Yeah.
blocked the Windsor Bridge.
Man, I
They've
grew up
blocked,
right there.
yeah, they've
Detroit.
blocked 2 or 3 bridges. You know,
Yeah.
some auto plants have already shut down in Detroit.
Yeah. They can't
They
get the
went to a
parts.
skeleton crew at the Ford plant. The Toyota plant shut down for the whole week.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm not, I know last weekend we were talking like maybe a false flag event might happen this week, not something big, but,
Yeah.
something where they instigate, they try to provocateur some of the protesters to get a reaction out of them, to
Hmm.
try to, give them a reason to sway the public opinion, to shut them down because, this thing's spread international. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
going on 2 weeks now. And it's happening in several countries around the world. They're saying
Mm.
it's going to start happening in America. Uh, and so, hey, look who it is. It's your other
Hey,
son.
buddy. Yes.
The good thing about a Detroit auto plant shutdown is they have lots of practice with that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, they sure do. Yeah, here he comes. He's coming on.
Right.
Can you
All
hear
right.
him?
Yeah, I can hear him in the background. I can't hear him. Jeffrey, tell us
Can
about the
you?
auto. Oh, you got it. You got
I
it
was
now.
just making a joke, and
Yeah.
just basically saying that Detroit has lots of they've had auto companies come go, I guess, and so they have some
You have.
experience with just stopping production altogether. But does the sound coming through you guys? Or no?
It's reverbing. You're echoing.
Yeah, I think because there's 2 microphones going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I can just leave.
Why don't you just stay?
That's fine.
If you could hear him without his microphone on.
Yeah, yeah. I can hear him without the microphone. Everybody else can
The only
too.
thing is, I can't hear you, Dad, but it should still be fine. Not
Yeah,
hearing you.
yeah. You'll be fine.
Where is it?
And Robbie will bring you in.
Um,
Okay, we're trying to make this a joint effort.
Does it echo now?
Sorry. No, not at
No.
all. No, that's good.
So you hear me through Robbie. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Good.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, hey, let's watch a little live. It's
Yeah.
like kind of like being in Mr. Joynt's class here. You can watch
Wow. Movies.
yeah, you can watch a movie here just for a little bit. I had to change. I changed the frames per second, so hopefully it won't skip.
Okay.
Oh, that one's shut down. Uh-oh.
They shut you down.
This is
Wow.
Windsor.
Yeah. Well, there's Canada right there. Wow. Detroit River.
All right, it's not skipping good. All right, I figured that out.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, so you grew up around here?
Yeah, well, just about 15 miles north in St. Clair Shores, and went to Canada off and on for various things. I could see Canada quite a bit sometimes when I was on my way to school across the river.
Dad, do you remember when we went to McDonald's?
Yes, just to get Canadian money in Windsor. Yes.
Yeah.
And we were crossing the bridge from Canada back into the United States, and they asked, like, all right, well, what did you do? Do you have anything to declare? You're like, oh, well, we crossed the bridge and went to McDonald's. saw the Canadian leaf in the middle of the arches. It was great. And the guy was like, "You came all the way to Canada just to go to McDonald's, sir."
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Yep, that's
true.
what we did.
Scott Irish.
Yep.
That's it. Cheaper than cheap. That's so funny. You remember that? I remember that too. I remember getting that. Probably still have that money.
Yeah.
Sorry, probably
I've
haven't
blocked
spent it.
out the rest of the trip.
It's next year's
But I do
silver
remember that
certificates.
part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But who would think? Who would think Canada would lead the way? You know?
Yeah, here's Ottawa.
Wow. Goodness sakes.
Well, they're just so friendly. That's why this is just so shocking. I mean, they must really, really be mad to do
Yeah.
a
Where's it?
convoy.
Where? Oh, they were called terrorists here by
Well, I
CNN.
think more prevalent now is you can kind of see the division now. You know, the line has been drawn in the sand. You know,
Yeah.
the, you could the tyrants. You know, these global leaders, and we'll get into that here in a minute. Uh, but you got Macron in France, Merkel in Germany, Boris Johnson in England, although they lifted their restrictions.
Yes, they have.
Uh, and then Trudeau. Uh, you could kind of see this liberal corporate globalist agenda. You know, this Great Reset, the World Economic
Hmm.
Forum, all that stuff we'll discuss. Uh, and these are the freedom fighters. You know, these are
Yeah.
the right wing conservatives
Yep.
versus the left wing, you know, liberal
Corp.
globalists. You know,
Yep.
so it's
Yep.
sovereign nations versus globalism. You know,
Yeah.
uh, and it's pretty much split right down the middle, if you ask me. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
It is. No question. Some conservative commentators have worried of a Tiananmen Square type reaction by these governments. Where blood will be in the streets. Or vehicles like tanks in Tiananmen Square. You bring in. You already got trucks. Where was it in Paris, France? The armored vehicles. You talked about that. You should repeat that again. What you said that Paris, France, for the first time since World War II.
oh yeah, today they sent in armored vehicles. Yeah, first time since German tanks came in World War II. They brought in armored vehicles today to shut down downtown to keep the trucks from getting in downtown.
Right,
So I mean,
man.
this Vienna. So
Wow,
the trucker convoy started today in Vienna. There's already
wow.
trucks in downtown Vienna.
Because Austria is
Uh,
really strict. Austria is,
yeah, yeah. So
man.
you're gonna see some stuff go down in
Yeah,
Austria. You already had New Zealand. New Zealand cracked down this morning, or it was yesterday, which would have made it this morning, I think, in New Zealand. I'm not sure the time
yeah,
difference, but they went full military on the protesters.
man,
Australia, the same thing's starting to happen too. They're going full military on these guys.
man.
Uh, it, you know, there's rumors of the trucker convoy hitting the Super Bowl here in America, starting there and then heading to DC to be there by March 3rd or 4th or something like
Wow,
that. Take them a couple weeks to get across the country.
sure,
Uh, so
man.
who would have thought, right?
Yeah,
Canada started an
yeah,
international movement
yes.
against like I said, this global kind of corporate
Well,
takeover.
not all that dissimilar from your main topic tonight, the New World Order.
So
That's
is Trudeau the love child of Fidel Castro? Do you guys
that's a
That's
good
yeah,
question.
I saw that.
seems
They
like
kind of look alike,
yeah,
and his mom was there with the dad
right.
or with her husband, the father Trudeau Senior.
I mean, who knows? But it sure is interesting to think about.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
talk
this is
about
a
it.
conspiracy show,
It
so
It
is
sure
true.
is.
A
Maybe
I just don't have any pictures. I didn't pull
conspiracy
any of those
theory
pictures.
sounds it's like a bad word today. So we're truth seekers. That's what it is.
ooh, wow. Well, yeah, you should get maybe Trudeau could do a DNA test or ancestry DNA. There's New World Order Wikipedia.
See if it gets bigger there. No.
Can't cancel that. There's and under the there's your Federal Reserve symbol on the upper right.
Yeah. Well, and that symbol was been around for when was that symbol
Yeah,
made? I think it wasn't on the first dollar, wasn't it? No.
I
that symbol on the dollar. Didn't you have it? Don't you have a dollar, Dad? Didn't you bring a dollar? You got paid today.
yeah. Let me. Well, I have it in my wallet. Let me
Oh well,
get
then
it
never
out.
mind.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the
Yeah.
symbol right here. I can
Yeah,
click
you
on
see
it.
it on the back of the dollar bill, and underneath where the wreath is, there, or the banner, it's Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means it could mean new social order in Latin, but Novus new, and Seclorum is either secular or, you know, I mean, new systematic secular. A lot of people just say it's New World Order. Um, George Bush Sr. in 1993, gave his infamous speech on the New World Order that someday we could all live in, a wonderful world. And so he was into that. Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, all the uh, things that sprung off the Rockefeller Foundation in the 19 teens and the 20s. Founding of the Federal Reserve in 1913. Man, all sorts of
Well, it says
crazy
here that
stuff we could get
it
into.
was on the reverse side of the Great Seal since 1782, and it's been on the
Okay.
U.S. dollar since 1935. And this says it translates to New Order of the Ages.
Well, okay.
And wasn't America the New World back then? That was like the new
Sure. Yeah, sure.
discovering the New World, and
Yeah.
so I mean, you could say it was that. You know,
I have associates and friends that talk about Knights Templar and the Masons, and they get into all that too.
yeah. Wikipedia here gets into all that. The
Mm-hmm.
pre-Cold War usage of how the conspiracy theory has evolved over time. Pretty much and they mostly blame it on obviously white right-wing Christians that
Mm-hmm.
it's the end of times, and every
Yeah.
you know uh, point in history here back then, oh, it's the end times, and then everybody dies, and or they die
Mm-hmm.
off, and then the government has some other thing that reminds them of it, and it goes into the uh, Cold War era, post Cold War era.
Mm-hmm.
Talks about the end times. It brings up Freemasonry, the Illuminati, the Elders of Zion.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's been around. The conspiracy's been around for a while.
Okay.
Well, it is interesting that they choose the pyramid as their icon when it's,
Yeah.
the pyramid nowadays is associated so much with slavery, the Egyptian pyramid, because it was built by slaves, and
Slave labor.
Hebrew people were their slaves for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's their symbol.
There's
It
the.
even talks about alien invasion, that the aliens have been running the world since the beginning, and all that.
Jeez.
And
Yeah.
they're the ones controlling everything, just using governments, and everything else is kind of
We laugh
puppet.
at that, but I know two people well that hold to that theory. The aliens. I mean, you don't laugh around them when you talk about that. I just
Well,
sort of
it
listen and,
depends on who you're talking about when you say alien.
ah,
You think
that's
of little
true.
green men. Well, yeah, I would laugh at that. But if it was
Okay.
some sort of power that
Yeah.
came down from the skies years ago and people witnessed it, and who's to say that it's not some sort of demonic presence?
Wow.
Yeah, I know
Okay.
it's a little deep. Sorry,
No, that's good. That's why you're here.
that's why I'm
Okay.
here.
But it talks about mass surveillance, people being tracked and traced and
And what's the purpose for that?
surveilled.
Why
Yeah.
why would it matter that all my banking information is known? I can be seen all day long. They know my whereabouts, my eating
Right. What's the
habits.
purpose of
Why
it?
right? Why would they need to know all that? What do they
Right.
do with that information? I guess control
Uh,
me. I don't know. If I
Yeah.
get out of line, they can shut me off.
Yeah. If you
uh,
jaywalk, they automatically fine you because they got you on camera doing it, and they can just deduct the money out of your account.
Yeah, but if I go to one
And
of
it's like,
these,
oh, I can't jaywalk
if I go
anymore.
to one of these trucker rallies, or I want to give money, through
Yeah.
GoFundMe, well, that's
oh
illegal
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Population control talks about
Yeah.
lowering the
Oh.
population.
Wow.
Wikipedia,
Okay.
world order.
Yeah, they
I
got a lot of stuff.
think there is some. I mean, I think a lot of what we see. And Dad, I would read this book, The Fourth Turning, that I sent you.
Okay, I
But
have
it
it right
talks
here.
about a theory of the generational paradox, which is bad times create strong men create good times create weak men create bad times, and then the cycle repeats. You know,
Okay.
so I think that
Yep.
has a lot to do with it.
Right.
It's we're in this kind of cycle here, this turning, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is an attempt by global elites, corporate elite, corporate, global corporatism, to try to kind
Mm-hmm.
of, keep all the money, flowing a certain direction, and Jeff and I
Mm-hmm.
worked for the same company, and we would go, it was a big global corporate company. And I remember them sending me to trainings and, diversity training and all this stuff. And you had all these people that were like really gung ho about the company, and they would wear the company shirts, and their pens had the company logo, and they had their little 5-year pin or 10-year pin or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be really into it. And I'm just there just to get through the training, but I could see where people, they kind of buy into this, like global kind of corporate structure where you're just told what to do. And as long as you're just, you're involved and you're doing everything you're being told, you're fine, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of see that too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring up this other. And then you like the World Economic Forum. I was researching
Mm-hmm.
today about the UN Forum Partnership. Have you heard about that?
Where they
This the
signed
so
on a couple years
Yeah, so the
ago.
World Economic Forum and the
Yes.
UN sign a strategic partnership,
Gosh.
and this was done in June of 2019,
Wow.
obviously right before the big pandemic.
That's
And
scary.
it's Klaus Schwab and
Mm-hmm.
Justin Trudeau, all these things. And if you read their agenda, uh, mobilize financing the agenda, mobilize systems and accelerate finance flows towards the 2030 agenda and the UN Sustainable Development Goals, taking forward solutions to increase long-term SDG investments, climate change. Obviously, we hear all the time about
Yeah.
climate change,
Yeah.
health, support countries achieve good health and well-being for all. Sounds great,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I
Yeah.
doubt that's what they really want. Digital cooperation, meet the needs of the fourth industrial revolution while seeking to advance global analysis, dialogue, and standards for digital governments and digital inclusiveness. Now, what does
Yeah.
that mean?
Well, Bill Gates talks about the fourth industrial revolution, which would be, digital. Basically, that would be part of it. While he's using his controlling interests in pharmaceutical companies to use tax-free organizations to provide quote medical care unquote vaccines to African countries. I mean, I don't know. It's man.
Yeah,
Everybody talks about shutting everything down and how even Alex Jones said today on Infowars that mark February 11th on your calendar because it marks the end of the whatever it is the COVID collapse. I'm not quoting that correctly, and I'm thinking these guys have been organized for so long. I
yeah,
mean, World Economic Forum. This is like 20 years now. They've been around
yeah, and planning.
and signing an agreement, as you just noted, with the most powerful global organization in the world, the United Nations. I mean, how
Yeah,
do you stop them? It's like a truck convoy. I mean, that may
yeah,
be the only way you're going to stop them is to fight. You got to fight back. There's your board of directors. Yeah.
yeah. The Davos agenda for the World
Wow.
Economic Forum. Xi Jinping,
Gosh.
Emmanuel Macron, who just sent armored vehicles into downtown Paris to
Yeah.
stop the trucker convoy. So go figure. Angela Merkel, Vladimir Putin.
Jeez.
I mean,
Those are just people going to the conference, though, right?
these were
Well,
speakers. Yeah,
in their private jets while talking about
yeah,
climate change and
yeah. Of course,
they're
Benjamin Netanyahu,
yeah.
Christine Lagarde. She's the president of the European Central Bank. Go figure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Heavy hitters. There they are. My
Yeah,
goodness.
the elites.
So how do you fight against them in their private jets? They'll impose climate change on us and put gas prices through the roof.
Well, we
And
all seen. We saw it with the mask.
yeah,
Rules for me, but not for thee. Right?
yeah. Barack Obama's birthday party. Yep.
Yeah.
Jeez. Martha's
Nancy
Vineyard.
Pelosi getting her hair done, and
Oh man.
you guys got to see this video here real quick. Let me see if I can get it up. They told the kids, I think it was today or yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I don't know
Well,
if you saw the video
I saw
of
just the still, but the
the
still.
elementary school kids. Oh, you got to see this. Let me get this on the big screen here. Oh, do this, and then sorry, folks, just give me 1 second. Oh, there it is.
Mhm.
Let me warn everybody, if you're a parent, this may make you cry. So
Wow.
Starting tomorrow, we don't have to wear masks anymore.
Wow.
isn't that sad?
Yeah.
I like the kid on his computer who doesn't have a mask on. He's like, yeah, whatever.
What did Jeffrey say?
Oh, he can't,
Is anybody excited?
because of all the kids screaming.
Yeah.
That crazy?
Yeah.
So I was saying, I like how the one kid on his laptop doesn't even respond.
Yeah.
He already
Yes.
has his mask off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. That's funny.
I never bought that lie anyway. You guys.
I felt that a couple of weeks ago when my school district finally lifted the mask mandate because, come on. I think they finally, probably pressure and who knows. I mean, they got to answer to a lot of different people. I get it, but I was thrilled. And anyway, yeah, that's a
Well,
great
I mean,
video.
we're not public health experts here.
No, I'm not.
My whole
No.
thing is, if you want to wear one, great. If not,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
And you can't. At some point, we got to stop arguing about all this stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like arguing with a pigeon, right?
yeah,
Or not. It's like playing. I'm sorry. It's like playing chess with a pigeon, right?
yeah.
And arguing, but still.
Right. It's like playing chess with a pigeon. The pigeon's gonna knock over all the pieces. He's gonna crap on the table and fly away. So.
That's a foul illustration. But anyway, yes.
That's
Yeah,
good
I
with the
teach.
old.
I still teach with people that wear a mask, and administrator, a couple of them, not many, and some kids. I still have kids that they have it on. They walk into my room and they've got it on. It's almost glued to their face, and they still do that, and that's their choice. Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you said. Okay, back
Here's your
to
great reset, Dad.
wow, there it is. Wikipedia has the Great Reset. Goodness
Yeah, and
sakes.
they don't have the disclaimer conspiracy theory next to it like they did with the New World Order.
Okay.
But here it says the name of the 50th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum held in June 2020.
Wow.
Prince of Wales was there. Klaus Schwab talked about the fourth industrial revolution. Multinational corporations, governments, society, organizations. I mean,
And I read today
we don't have
that,
time to read all this, but I mean, good grief. Look,
Yeah.
He even brings up Canada.
Man, World Economic Forum yesterday or today issued a document essentially endorsing critical race theory, which of course is the Marxist-based agenda and curriculum on American history. Separating classes, races. I don't know. It's just I find it interesting that the WEF is involved in this. This just shows you where they're going. I mean, they are definitely on the march. And I don't, gosh. And I don't know. My mind goes in so many different directions about the election. I don't want to get into the election, and there's no need
Yeah,
to.
we don't want to get another
No, but I'm just,
video
but
banned.
man, so many questions on that, that we've all talked about privately and everything. Goodness sakes.
So, which takes us back to what's going on in Ottawa. Because I think that this is kind of, like I said before, I think this is a turning point,
Yeah.
a tide shift in the agenda, the Great Reset, the Davos agenda, all that stuff, trying to get the world into this corporate, a corporatized world, kind of collapsing first world countries,
Mm-hmm.
creating this narrative that in order to get out of the restrictions, we need to impose more restrictions.
Yeah.
This life that everybody's lived for the past 2 years, and I think that's why I had that Frederick Douglass quote
Yeah.
up. Not just because it's Black History Month, but also because you know that's it's got a lot of truth in it. The oppressors can only oppress you so much, what you're willing to take,
Do the
and then
restrictions quote again, because that was Trudeau.
yeah, he basically said the only way out of the restrictions is more restrictions. Basically, is kind of to
Okay.
sum up
Yes, that's what
everything
he
he
said.
said.
He got
Yeah, the
jeered.
only way to get out of the restrictions is to impose these, restrictions.
Okay, so I'm not a real.
Which is
Yeah,
it's just you're chasing your tail.
I'm not a real.
Well, he's saying,
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I think when he's saying the only way to get out of the restrictions of wearing a mask
Okay.
is everyone needs to wear the mask, or getting vaccinated. Everyone needs to get vaccinated, and then um, there won't be any more restrictions because you're all obeying.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
all
we don't
restricted.
have to restrict you because you're already doing what we're
Yeah,
supposed to be
I
doing.
Yeah.
see. I see.
Well, and
Okay.
and with tyrants too, or oppression, or anything like that, they take everything away. So for the past 2 years, they've taken everything from a lot.
Mhm.
Some people, they took everything. They took their job, their livelihood,
Yeah.
everything, and forced people to go under lockdown and all that. And then they gave just a little bit back. You never get it all back when you give up your freedoms. They never give them all to you back at once. They give you a little bit, so you're thankful. It's like, oh, I don't have to wear a mask anymore, but I still have to take the shot and do
Hmm.
all these other,
Hmm.
uh, be locked down and all that. And
Hmm.
so, and then when you try to, like, and I'm not, this isn't, me being a conspiracy theorist, but everything they did during the lockdowns, all these public health measures, if you try to connect a dot to where being just about public health, it really doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But if you try to connect the dots for, hey, bringing in a one world government, or
Yeah.
tyranny, or a power grab, or a money grab, well, then everything they did kind of makes sense.
Klaus Schwab.
Shut
Yeah.
down the economy. If you want to collapse a country's economy, what do? You shut it down. Well, that's what they
Yeah.
did.
Klaus
You
Schwab in
know.
his book, right when COVID started, mentions that isn't it convenient now that COVID will help us, accomplish our, WEF agendas and advance socialism. He
Right.
even said that.
Globalism.
He
Yeah,
said that
globalism.
shutting all the shutdowns and the government mandates will help to accelerate the goals of the WEF and world socialism, and you will own nothing but you'll be happy. That's what he says. Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and then that quote we had on one of the memes prior to the opening of the show. That's an actual quote. I know it's on it's a essence, sadomastic whatever picture,
Hmm.
but he does say, hey, we're real proud that we put our global leaders, which Justin Trudeau was on their
Yeah.
Young Global Leaders program, that they've been able to infiltrate all these governments, and these people are in charge.
Yeah.
Well, Justin Trudeau's on that list. He's a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader kid,
Yeah.
who is just kind of, and that's why I brought up, when Jeff and I worked for that company, they kind of, that's what they do. They just kind of not brainwash you, but just get you repeating, all, like, that's what you're there to do. You're there to do a job, so go do it.
Now, Justin Trudeau, there was some sort of referendum or something in Canada last fall. Jeffrey, maybe you're following this better than me. And wasn't Trudeau either reelected or the referendum to keep him passed and was ratified or whatever? Because there was a chance to get rid of him and he stayed in power. Do you know anything about that, Jeff?
They had Dominion voting software, so
Yeah, well,
Oh, you're gonna get us
no.
kicked off again.
Yeah, that could be. That could be,
They're
but
gonna remove this
okay,
episode.
let's say we
It's
don't.
just his opinion,
Yeah,
everybody.
so
That's not the.
right. So what I would like to know, if that's not true about the voting software in Canada, and it was just an election, then why didn't these people vote him out? Or is it are they now turning because they're at the point where they're sick of all the mandates, they're sick of the requirements, their livelihood is being threatened, and now they've turned on Trudeau? Then man, there's got to be something constitutionally that Canada can do and start some sort of a recall movement or petition or whatever, like we have here in this country. I don't know why more people don't try to, that live in blue congressional districts like myself, Florida's 22nd that we don't try to get a recall, something going against our sitting
Well, I
congressman.
think we forget just how small Canada is. I mean,
Okay.
it takes up so much land,
Right.
and they have a big red leaf on their flag.
Yeah.
But they're really. I heard someone say that if you take away Manhattan from the state of New York, that's the same population as Canada.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I might be wrong on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rural.
It's not very many.
Yeah.
When it comes to America, yet we seem like we're equals.
Yeah.
We're the same size.
Well, I think it's 30 million or 40 million population.
Okay.
I think if you include.
Yeah.
And it's so the majority of the people all live kind of right around.
Yes.
Upstate New York.
Yep.
To the top of Lake Superior.
Yep. Ontario is.
That's where they're all concentrated. Yep. Not all of them. That's
Western,
the majority.
Western Quebec, all the way to probably
British Columbia.
Yeah, you have
That's all on the West
a lot of
Coast.
major urban areas: Vancouver, of course, Calgary, Edmonton. You got Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, Quebec City, Windsor, right across from Detroit. Just kidding, Hamilton. All your big cities that sponsor Canadian Football League teams. That's interesting. Just man, those pictures. This is live, right?
Yeah, like I said, this is live. This is happening right now in downtown Ottawa.
Wow.
Like I said, I do have a good. I have since I've started watching some of these live streams. I've been feeling kind of not hopeful, but just positive. It's a positive feeling that
Sure.
hey, we're starting to move into the right direction. I think a lot of people who took the vaccine, and I don't know this for a fact, but who went ahead and went along with the medical,
Protocol.
the science or whatever they call it,
protocol.
the medical protocol, and they did everything they were supposed to do, and they got their 2 doses or 3 doses or whatever, are starting to kind of, they may not have wanted to take it. They may have just taken it just to keep their job or, to travel or whatever, and they just went ahead and took it, and they were told, hey, it's going to keep you from getting COVID. It's going to keep you from, and, we found out, and they have found out that that's not the case. And so I think, and I've watched some of the interviews on the street, because you won't see any of this on the news. You have to go onto YouTube and find these live streamers. And then you just basically click on it like people do for our show and watch it. And they interview people on the street, and this is what and these are people that live in Ottawa, a lot of them. Some people travel.
Yeah.
And this is some of the stuff I've heard them say. So I'm not really making this up. I've heard people say this, hey, in the beginning we were all for all the mandates and everything, but it's been 2 years and we just want our lives back.
Sure. Sure.
And so I think this is kind of the turning point that gets us there,
Well, Quebec, province of Quebec, got rid of their tax. They were going to tax all the unvaxxed, and they got rid of that. So there have been some things.
But that's what I'm saying is this protest is to end all of them.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Not just a mask, not a whatever COVID pass. This is everything.
Yeah.
And that's why I said earlier with tyranny, I want to see what they're going to do, because yes, some of these provinces are saying, okay, no more masks on Monday for the kids. Well, that's not what they're asking for.
Yeah.
They're asking for all the mandates, and so that they're not going to give it back to them all at once. They're going to piecemeal it. Like, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit back, and you're going to be grateful, right? You're going to be thankful. Like, oh, okay, we don't have to wear masks anymore, so we're good, we're done.
So
they want that's it. It's over. It's over. No more of this. End it all.
Yeah.
And of course, this week, what happened? The poll numbers came out, and all of a sudden, the science changed, right?
Yeah.
For I'm talking about for Biden. The Biden poll numbers came out, and we got midterm elections coming up in November, and so all of a sudden the science changed, and they're starting to pull back the mandates here in America. It's like, you got all these blue state governors. New Jersey, he went ahead and said, okay, no more.
Yeah.
No more. All these blue states now are starting to pull back, and it's like, well, your all poll numbers are bad. People are tired of this. I mean, look, this isn't a small fringe minority. This is. They're expecting 1 million people tomorrow in Ottawa, downtown.
Wow.
So I suggest that everybody, watching this, go ahead, go on YouTube. Travel Fun 69 is a good YouTuber. Portland Andy, Ottawalks. So Ottawa walks. It's all one word.
Mm-hmm.
OTTAWAWALKS.
Mm-hmm.
Ottawalks. And these are guys just basically like it's just like this. They're walking around with a cell phone camera and they're just recording stuff and they're talking to people, and that's it. And they just walk around the city and just kind of document everything that's going on. And I think it's great.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been watching a lot of it over the past couple weeks. I remember even before they got into Canada when they were live streaming. Some of the drivers, the
Mm-hmm.
truckers, were live streaming from their phones on the road, and every overpass they went under, there were hundreds
Yeah.
of people with signs and flags cheering them on. There's a lot of videos on Twitter of that and stuff. And I mean, it's just
Yes.
like I said, man. I really honestly think this is the pivot.
Yeah. Any Canada?
This is the pivot.
Does Living Color World? Do they sell Canada First hats? I wonder if I can get those on there. Seriously.
Remember, don't wear a hoodie.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. All that is.
Canada First hat.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Yeah,
I just want to raise some concerns about the protests. I'm happy for people to exercise their
Yes.
First Amendment rights, even though they're not Americans. So, when Occupy Wall Street was going big, eventually that dissipated. People had to get back to their lives.
Right.
With this going on, they could easily starve out the city if it's just going to get too big. They can cut off all the roads and not allow any deliveries to be made. They can't allow any new people to go in if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So that means that people need to leave to go and get food or gas. They're not going to be able to come back in. Like the governments have already talked about. Trudeau talked about there's a way to kind of diffuse the situation without escalating it. With the military going in.
Well, they've already gone after their gas. They've tried to confiscate all the gas, right?
So they have to. So they're going to go.
Then they shut off their
outside the
money.
city.
They shut off their
Cut
funding.
all the roads.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do.
Well.
And then you got to worry too about the weather. I mean, good grief, this is Canada.
Yeah.
It's the middle of February, so you still have, according to the groundhog, 5 more weeks.
Yeah.
And it's going to be cold, and people, I hate to say it, they might get sick from the virus, which I did have. It is a bad cold. It is real, and
yeah.
I don't know. I like what I'm seeing, but I do feel like this could backfire.
Well,
and
here, yeah,
stupid.
Here, well,
they have to set up a triage for all the people with cold.
And think about tomorrow. You got 1 million plus people down there.
Yeah.
There's no way to tell who from who.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have people kind of sneaking in and wearing a Canadian flag and a Go Trucker sign, but they're there to do some damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then then that's it. Because you gotta. Trudeau right now doesn't have the public opinion on his side. I think he's under a lot of pressure. I've watched some of the Parliament meetings, which are very interesting. I've never watched Canadian government at work, but it's very much like British government, where they have the Conservative Party on one side and the Liberal Party on the other side, and then the ruling party is where the Prime Minister sits, and they're yelling, whatever, liar, they're yelling back and forth at each other, and they're asking questions, and they're basically they're tossing the blame back and forth. Trudeau's saying Conservative Party needs to end the blockade, and then the Conservative Party's like, you're being divisive. That's why, and it's just it's just back and forth.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting to watch some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I was watching Canadian figure skating, male figure skating, and Nathan Chen for the United States. So
I haven't watched any of the Olympics.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then Shaun White, he lost yesterday his final Olympics, and he did not get gold. He got 4th place. And it was so cute. Finn came running up to me and said, "Dad, Snow White didn't win."
Snow White. Oh, that's funny.
It was cute.
That was.
And I yelled at him, said, "Get back to bed."
This is why I haven't watched any of the Olympics here. I don't know if I can.
Well, Epic Times says that a lot of the Olympic.
Oh, is this with the nuclear?
Yeah, hold on.
That is
hold on. We're gonna be quiet here real second. Let me just show this picture.
Okay, go.
Isn't that crazy?
Is that real? That's not superimposed.
Yeah, that's real.
That's real.
They're using fake snow.
Yeah. This is just one area. There's real snow everywhere. this does not make any sense at all to me. As much as they have put into all these other
Here, I can bring it up here so we can talk about it.
There's a lot of nice areas of the Olympics where stuff is being done, but I don't know why they did this. Were they just trying to be like relevant and because it's kind of an extreme sport? I think it was. Isn't like a. It's not the half pipe for the snowboarding, but it's some sort of extreme jumping or something, and it's there. It's a nuclear power plant, and they even have the Beijing 2022 Olympic logo painted on one of the sides of those chimneys.
I like that. Now, you have me in the picture. You don't have the. Okay, there it is. Thank you. Yeah,
there it is.
Good. Okay. Wow, that is so weird. Goodness sakes! And a lot of the Epic Times said that a lot of the events were right next to torture chambers for any dissidents in China.
Oh wow!
And and Xiping.
There was someone who compared it to the 1936 Olympics in Berlin.
Yes.
With the Jews.
Yeah.
How they had one Olympian who was Jewish, and then the same thing here in China. I can't remember their name.
But yeah, look, there's no snow. It's all fake snow, and a lot of the athletes are getting injured.
Wow. Is it the Falun Gong, Jeffrey, that you're thinking of? No, probably the Falun Gong, the ones that that's who basically puts out Epic Times. It's obviously against the Chinese Communist regime, which is relevant to our
Muslims who are being persecuted.
Okay.
That's not Muslims, but the Chinese.
Right, not the Uyghurs.
Concentration camps.
Right, and Epic Times says they have, where those strong arm Chinese guards were pulling Dutch journalists away was right next to a torture chamber that the Chinese had set up in Beijing. When they caught people, they would just take them in there and either torture them or eliminate them, and then try to pass the word that if you try to do any disruptions, this is what's going to happen. I guess, but that's what Epic Times had on. They had an article on it that was their front page article that I read yesterday. Just unreal. And Xiping is, or whatever his name is World Economic Forum, and
WF, the coronation of Xi Jinping was those Winter Olympics. Yeah. We talked about it last weekend too.
Okay.
So
okay.
All right, wrap it up. Yeah. What do we think? New World Order? Is it
Well, you're seeing a little bit of a skirmish here, maybe on a bigger level with the caravans. I mean, there's definitely this.
You're going to see who the players are coming up soon. I mean, you're already seeing who the player is in Canada. He doesn't want it to go back to the way it was. He wants to keep the mandates and the lockdowns.
Yeah.
And he's part of that World Economic Forum.
I think even though the majority, let's say, of Canada and all these countries are anti what's going on, if the majority of Canada is anti all these mandates and stuff, I hate to say it, we're almost at the point where it doesn't matter, because you look at who wins wars throughout history. It's usually the country or the side that has the best technology, and they outshoot or destroy their enemy. And I think we're seeing that kind of on this scale, where we don't have the technology to. Sorry, there's like a lot of echo coming through here. To sustain ourselves, because we might not be executed like they do in China, but we might be canceled.
Yeah.
Well, we'll lose our social media platform. Your account's deleted now because you said something we didn't want you to say. And as we get more, I guess, into maybe finances, we know that
cashless society, digital currency,
they can stop funds from going.
Yeah. Freeze your bank account.
Right?
Yeah.
Take away your
funds. Some of these people
social credit score now.
Right, and then with all these cars being hooked up on this new system, the Biden's new freeways, they're all electronic. They're all going to be
smart cities, smart
systems in them. And so now we can freeze your bank account and we can turn off your car. So you can't, and then we're going to turn off your social media, so you can't talk to anyone, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't buy anything
unless you take this class, this class, this class, and this class. Get your certificate and then show your papers.
When you delete that tweet,
You got to take a shot every 6 months.
Yeah.
Delete the tweet and then we'll reactivate. Start going all these laws. So whether we like that or not, that's what's happening.
Yes.
And society is becoming more and more groomed. Just like Robbie said, they take away all these freedoms and then give you one back.
Yeah.
And now they only have to.
And you're thankful. And you're thankful for it. You're like,
have to take that one or however many are there.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
The guy trying to get the bread under the prison bars. He's trying to get
to keep you focused on
Wow.
basic needs rather than all the freedoms you lost.
Well, we have Valentine's Day coming up, so you boys. Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna give the test on Monday, the Valentine's Day massacre.
Yeah, I am, and I know I saw that. Oh goodness, Chicago! Wow.
Make a kid study all that. Yeah, 1929.
And well, you guys have Canadian ancestry on both sides of your family, so you can kind of tap into this somehow. I don't know. I have it on both sides of mine. I have it on my dad's side, definitely, and my mother's side. And your great great grandfather was imprisoned by the British during the Canadian Revolution. Andrew Morrow spent 6 months in prison and was beaten and I think permanently disabled. So I mean,
so it's in our blood.
It's in your blood, man. It's in your blood. You're Canadian.
The strong one, who then led to good times.
Yeah. So where do we fit in this generational paradox?
Well, I don't know, man.
Strong men create good times. Weak times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times.
Wow.
So where are we in that?
I don't know, but
that's what I think. I just think we're just in this cycle.
And I don't want to get off on a tangent, but
all the men are feminized now.
Yeah. Well, and perhaps,
which is fine if that's your choice, like you want to.
Maybe the big news might be here that coming up to the Super Bowl on Sunday, there is an acute chicken wing shortage. I heard that today.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know.
Oh, and they're going to try and blame. They were probably the Democrats are always about never let a good crisis go to waste, right?
Pelosi.
But now they have the perfect blame.
Yeah.
They should. We solved the supply chain crisis, but the Canadians and you truckers and you right wing extremists block down the borders.
Yeah, that could be.
We can't get car parts. We can't get the food. We can't get maple syrup. They're going to use this to their advantage. Get ready for
this. And that might be why they're holding back. That might be why the elites are holding back.
They want it. They got to pass the buck.
Yep.
Can I just go on record and
yes,
Robbie, you can replay this in August. I think that the upcoming primary elections, not primary, but the midterm elections for 2022 that are coming up,
which are going to be illegitimate because they didn't pass the Democrat voting rights bill.
So the Democrats, they need these restrictions because the restrictions, like in 2020.
Oh no, I know where you're going. I'm not allowed to say that. Yeah, that's what got us banned. That's what got episode 11 taken down. You can't talk. You can't talk about the 2020 election. Okay, you could talk about Hillary Clinton.
I'm not talk about 2020. Let me just talk about 2022.
Yeah, there you go.
3, 2, 1. All right. So I'm predicting that it's quite possible we might see a new variant of the coronavirus this summer.
Yeah.
Probably around August. And even though it's not typical for like a flu season, because flu season is usually like when it's cold. But last summer in 2021, we did see the Delta variant.
Yeah, I got it.
So what happens this summer, it's going to be more commonplace. And then, that'll affect probably.
But it's not going to scare people the way all the other ones did. You know what I mean? I think that they know COVID is over. And I kind of agree. I mean, COVID is with us forever. It's with us forever. It's not going away. There's always going to be a new variant. But I think the fear mongering. Yeah, people are going to learn to live with it. So I think they're going to have to play something else now. They're going to have to play another card. I think it might be a computer virus, right? Computer virus,
shutdown.
And you have to shut down the internet to reset the virus, and then when you go back on the internet, it's only one source.
Wow.
And it's all controlled.
Well, yeah.
Power grids.
Chicken wings. Go, Jeffrey.
chicken wings.
Go back. I missed what you said about Rockefeller. Can you describe how did he get wealthy?
Well, oil.
What he did.
He
Oil baron.
He cornered the market, and by 1871, he owned 90% of the refining process, which is the only way you were going to get oil.
The Civil War ends in 1864.
65.
You're saying that by 65.
Yeah.
You're saying within 6 years.
Yeah.
He did all this.
Yeah.
Where was he during the Civil War?
He had hired a substitute in Cleveland, Ohio, to take his place, which was legal. He hired someone to take his place. That was, very common back then. You either
the rich would, pay someone.
You either paid.
What did he do? He just kept working.
Yeah, he just stayed in the oil business. He felt he would be better suited, and he you could either pay $300 or you hire someone to take your place, and he hired someone to take his place during the draft in 1864, and that's what he did. Yeah, and he kept going, and he was buying out. He had a lot of people hired, Henry Morrison Flagler, of course, and others, that he would just take over their refinery and give them certificates in a company that kind of really didn't exist, Standard Oil, and they would get all these certificates, and then once he had everything, then he could just raise it through the roof, and then all the, I hate to say it, but Henry Morrison Flagler was astute. He knew when to fold, and that's how did
Rockefeller invent the corporation, or?
Well, yeah, it was.
Long before that.
It was the concept of the corporation. I would say, improved upon it, but he had vertical and horizontal and vertical corporation going on at the same time. He had it from basically the refining process. In other words, the people that wanted to drill the oil, that's great. He got it. And then, he used rebates on not only his oil that was being transported by the railroad, but he bribed the railroad to give him rebates on his competitor's oil. And he used that money to build a refinery next to somebody that would not let him buy them out. And then he
starved them out.
He starved them out, lowered the prices of his product, so everybody bought his product. The other person got starved out, and when they came begging back to Rockefeller for the original purchase price, he said, "No, I'm only going to give you this much. I'm not going to give you anywhere near what I originally offered you." And that was the Southland oil case that went to the higher courts, and that's a long story, but I mean, that's how he did it. He was just a genius. He was a genius. I mean,
cutthroat.
Yeah, he said, competition is now, if I finish the sentence, you should say the heartbeat of America. It's capitalism. Competition is, good. And Rockefeller's answer is no. Competition is a sin. And so he wanted to eradicate sin. He went to
so is greed.
And but it's a sin, so it has to be eradicated. So he eradicated competition, and by 1900 he was worth $20 billion, and that's when.
But to eradicate competition, you'd have to kind of compete until you win, right?
You do, and if you want to look at the Sherman Antitrust Act, he essentially single-handedly got John Sherman elected, William Tecumseh Sherman's brother, as a senator of Ohio, and which is why the Sherman Antitrust Act is all smoke and mirrors and fluff. It really does not eliminate trusts or monopolies. It doesn't do that. So therefore, everybody's thinking, the Sherman Antitrust Act, finally, we're going to get rid of trusts. We'll show Rockefeller. And all he did in his vertical corporation was to take Standard Oil and put it in each state and make it a state corporation, because that is who has jurisdiction. Article 4 of the Constitution, incorporations occur by state. It's not national. So they cannot cross state lines technically. Well, with the invention of the telephone, you just avoid that part. And that was in the 1870s. And Rockefeller was able to put, Ohio, Standard Oil of Ohio, Standard Oil of Pennsylvania, Standard Oil of Tennessee, Amoco, all these big oil companies you see now.
Yeah, he split it up.
Split it up. and he still was in control by via the phone and interlocking directorships and stock transfers and everything else. That's why by 1900 he was just, that was it. So
and he got into pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, and exactly right. And he took us off medicine and put us on petroleum.
Holistic, yeah,
He took
natural,
which
yeah,
you went into.
I'm guessing broadcasting as well, radio.
Yeah, sure, everything, you name it. I mean,
yeah.
and this is where taking over the world and the influence of the world. Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. I mean, you could go on and on and on.
Offspring, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the playbook's the same.
Yeah. And so all these other things, World Economic Forum, as Robbie said, even the United Nations itself, October 25th, 1945, that's when it came into being. All this stuff the United Nations building in New York City is built on land that John D. Rockefeller Jr. donated. Okay, even the headquarters of the United Nations is on his land.
Well, the elite's a very small group, so it's not. It doesn't surprise me that
there are sections of
with the wealthy, like the new wealthy, Bezos and Zuckerberg.
Yeah, well,
Musk.
Okay,
they're all guys that weren't, kind of bred in that stock.
Right.
They've still been able to rise up.
Yeah, these are geniuses too, all of them. I mean, whether we like them or not.
I just wonder, do they join in that elite group? I mean, it would seem like.
I'm not sure about Musk. Musk is kind of a.
Not Musk.
Yeah.
Unless he's doing a good job making us think that he's not part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting. He started complaining about the government and all the taxes he had to pay, $11 billion.
Yeah, I read that. You sent that. Yeah.
Quite vocal about that. He's been very vocal against the Biden administration, a lot of their decisions.
Yeah.
And then this past week, Biden recognizes Tesla as the largest electronic car creator, distributor in the country. And so Elon Musk tweets an emoji with the sunglasses on, now we're cool, I guess. So
yeah, buy Dogecoin.
as he's in the process of moving all his stuff to Texas, like everybody else, getting out of California.
1,900 satellites.
Well, before we get off on too many tangents, we got to wrap it up. We're over an hour. So.
Man, anybody?
We could talk more off camera.
Yeah, we could.
I'm gonna play the background music.
Go.
All right, Dad, are you here next week?
Yeah, I'm here next week. Living Color World for Valentine's Day, everybody. Do it.
Yep, there it is.
And don't buy too many chicken wings. We don't want to. Whatever.
We'll find sparrows in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, does that go back? Could do a show on that one. All right. Love you, boys.
We'll see you next week.
Proud of you, boys. Proud of both of you. Wow. Gosh.
Proud boys.
Yeah.
I know. Proud boys.
I'd like to thank our guest tonight, Jeffrey Joynt.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we're gonna go fire that off on the property. So.
Okay. All right. You guys have fun. Be safe, man.
Yeah, it's fake.
Yeah, it's fake.
Okay. Gosh. Yeah. So is my birth certificate. That's enough.
All right, man.